Oh, I'm so thankful for the chance to talk with you. Eileen is so wonderful to make all these connections.
To meet you. So you're in that bright and airy country, Sweden, I'm told.
I am. Yes, I live on an island of Sweden called Gotland.
Scotland, wonderful, wonderful. Well, much blessings to you on that side of the world.
Thank you.
Um, Coming at you live here from New York in Westchester County, a little bit north of the Big Apple.
I've been there. I was all over New York upstate and New York City 12-ish years ago. Time is weird, isn't it?
It is, but it's always a challenge, and life isn't meant to be a bed of roses, but that's okay. We move forward, right?
True. I did want to say I love your what was that thing that you held up? That was so cool.
Oh, my staff.
Nice. Every self-respecting New Yorker has to have a staff, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Hi, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me today.
Oh, it's really cool to get to talk to so many fascinating people and so many stories. So
Well, Eileen has a plethora of different personalities and people, as you probably are finding out.
yeah. So I went to your website to learn a little bit about you. And what I could see is that you host these big events for charity and you help aspiring artists to get recognition. Is that right?
That's part of the journey. Certainly a lot of philanthropy, artists, and a full entertainment platform under SohoJohnny. We'll be opening up a venue soon, radio station, and I'm a performer. At times, I can't help myself, and uh, yeah, I guess that's kind of my journey. I mean, usually, I get asked like, where did it come from? I talk about my background in the city and where it came from, and where the name came from, and organically, how I came to be the person that I am today. And I talk about mostly outreach and a lot of these different projects that I'm involved with, but really not so much. I mean, yes, the focus of the show is on me because I'm a guest on the show, but so much about giving credit and giving thanks to everything about the world and trying to be uplifting, part of the message I try to put out there. Because we all have our journeys in life and how we evolve to become the people that we are today. And I found, like many people find, that the older you get and the more experiences and lifetime events that happen to you, it changes your perspective and you kind of reinvent the image of understanding who you were at younger parts of your life and understanding your own journey, your own evolution. So, with that being said, I will say that my parents. I was born in the Big Apple in Manhattan, New York City. Uh, Hospital isn't there anymore, and my parents lived in Stuyvesant Town, Peter Cooper Village, which is this big apartment complex, concrete jungle that's still there today, built by Metropolitan Life back in the day, probably 50s, 1950s or 60s. And you know, I went to a very, back in those days, parochial schools were very, very strict. And I was a nervous, stuttering child. Okay, I had great parents independently, but maybe they spoke half the years they were actually together and they bunked heads. But I think I was a stuttering, nervous kid. But I found that I would in school just be that practical joker to get attention and just to make people smile. And that kind of that little bit, um, magic, if you want to call it, or the nervous energy manifest. My parents eventually moved to the sister complex of Metropolitan Life called Parkchester in the Bronx. And they had another apartment there. And then eventually they had gotten a house with a garage in the back. I had developed this kind of personality or this jokester. So I had a lot of friends from all different walks of life now. And in this garage, now you got to understand the Bronx, the Boogie Down Bronx, I call it in New York City, back in those days had a lot of gangs, okay? And, when I was going to school, I was kind of like, had an alt, like a secret identity. I was honor student during the day, and then at night I had to wear colors a little bit to get home, because if you don't, you kind of got beat up back in those days if you were in some sort of gang. Not that I was a tough guy, I was a coward. And I had developed this reputation, so I had this music going on in this garage, and my friends, and it spread throughout the neighborhood, would all come to this garage, and everyone, other kids from the neighborhood got to hear of it. And so I kind of had like kind of a rock club. And here I am, probably still in grammar school, playing rock music, which then became classic rock music. So, and the other parents, they were glad, because rather than have them on the street, they knew, oh, back in this family's garage, they were probably a little bit safer. So I think that's kind of the genesis. I also owe it to my late mom a little bit, who always had music in my household, a sense of entertainment. My late dad, who died 26 years ago, I owe him my sense of humility and humanity. And he came from a humble background. My grandparents, his father, came, like many of us, to a country such as the U.S., and they're immigrants, and humble beginnings, and they just had to struggle to make their way. And they started a trucking business, multi-generational, which was in Soho Manhatten in the Big Apple. And I had a nickname coming up calling SohoJohnny. It's one of my nicknames. And that's kind of stuck with me. It's kind of why I named my entertainment company SohoJohnny, SohoJohnny.com. But segue from those garage days, as I got old, I did classic disco came in. I was a DJ. I did these events, family reunions, nothing in a big time, okay? But it was always that kind of love, that connection I had with the audience and making people laugh, that was very, very important to me. And fast forward from that, as I said, my dad died from cancer in 1995. That's 26, 27 years. And I kicked it up a little bit, and I started doing these events, and I tied charity to it. So I started doing things for the American Cancer Society. I kicked up the entertainment for more renowned artistry, and that kind of like was the secret sauce in my life. That kind of aha moment where I got so much love in doing that, and other people. Cancer affects so many of us out in the world, right? It's going to affect us. And if we do nothing, then nothing gets done. So in doing that, it kind of opened up so many doors. And then I started building this entertainment platform. I was just a guy behind a desk. My family had a trucking business. We sold it, my younger brother, myself, and then we had a real estate business. We had some real estate assets in Soho, which we still have in a company. We help. We have a real estate company called PEPRealestate.com, PEP Real Estate, all spelled out.com, still active today, where we find locations for people, or not residential, commercially, for events, pop-ups, experiential, commercial lofts, mostly the downtown area, Soho, West Village, where we have our wherewithal. And we help reinvent even the retailers now during troubling times of the COVID, and of course competing with the internet. But I kind of had that going on, and I was always skirting a little bit with the entertainment industry from the real estate world, and dealing with them, advising with them, of finding them locations, even our own locations that we hosted or owned. And when I started getting involved with the charity, and as the entertainment built up, then all these doors opened up for me. And I was blessed to have so many beautiful people, because when you put the light out into the world, you attract other people, like-minded light people that are light. When I say light, like, the sun, light, uplifting. And that really put the wind in my sails and changed everything. I now represent artists, and I help them along the way, and all different types of artists to go forward with publicity. We've got some great artists in our roster now that we're representing and advocating, that are doing very, very well. We're working with Maurice Hamilton, my pal, talented guy with the SMC group, and we'll take artists and work with him, and we'll just team them up with a multinational corporation like Coca-Cola to be one of the spokesmen on a commercial and everything, an artist to do a jingle or something like that, or for whatever, any type of, it may not even be a song, it could be a performance or something like that. So we have that going on. And we have, there's so many different things that are happening now, Katie. I mean, we came out with a comic book And I call it SohoJohnny is the character, my alter ego. And it was the first issue. It was only the first issue, so anyone out called Mandate for Humanity, and it was kind of like a side project. And we had did this before the pandemic. And here's the irony: because the theme of the plot is that it's about this downtrodden, environment or world where people are sad or sick or discouraged, kind of like what we lived through. And this, we were doing this before the pandemic, and then the pandemic hit. And Soho Johnny is this character that goes around and tries to be like the Pied Piper, bring joy back in music and entertainment, and bring enthusiasm and optimism back into the world. The feeling that I always say in my platform, every day is a blessing and a gift, and it really, really is. And starting the day with that, it just puts everyone in a better frame of mind to interact and outreach for everybody. I'm very thankful to being brought up into the melting pot within the melting pot. I say that meaning Boogie Down Bronx. We call it Boogie Down Bronx. The Bronx County in New York City. It's a mini melting pot within a bigger melting pot. And seeing people from all diverse backgrounds working together for a common goal, I think that was a second education for me, as far as teaching me how that can happen. And the beauty and the beauty is bringing diversity together and be able to create. I think that's a big beauty that's very, very important for us all to realize. So I just kind of married all these things together in what I've done with my entertainment platform going forward. And in the comic book, I'll give a shout out to, I kind of got these powers bestowed on me from three icons in the industry. Scott Page from Pink Floyd, my buddy, another philanthropist, and we collaborated. For such a talented, beautiful guy. Monte Rock the third. He was the DJ in Saturday Night Fever, and I call him my Mr. Magnificent. Beautiful, beautiful man. He also came out with that song, Discotheques and His Sex Elects. My chiffon is wet, my wig is wet. It's so hilarious. And Howard Bloom, a famous, beautiful, wonderful guy, and very, 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 very sharp guy, and publicist, Howard Bloom. Great man. Another, I consider him another mentor. So they bestow these powers on me, and I go around creating mirth and happiness. And, how cool is that? And so that's the first one. It's been getting different reviews and was endorsed by the Comic Book Men, which was that series that was on reality TV show, and Kevin Smith, and, great guy. So I'm trugging along doing these events, and all these different projects. We've got a project to try to relight Broadway, in theater in Manhattan, and help bring more finance for the children's, because there's been a lot of cutbacks. One of the artists that we're representing is called Animaze X, and they're great guys, Rudy Salzo and Mike Becerra. And, they're doing so well. They're so talented, and they were famous in Japan. And what they do is they do these rock shows and rock music or metal music of children's themed concepts, like, let's say, a Disney character. They just did Strawberry Fields, the Beatles song, and they're charting all over the place. So we teamed them up with a blind camp for children called Camp Marcella in New Jersey. And we're going to have a special performance to raise money there to help them. So I'm trying not to be too verbose, Katie, but these things kind of just like enter into my head. So forgive me for the audience, but
there's kind of on to go through. I get it.
I think it's important. When I lost my dad, that's what really, I channeled that energy in my morning into doing things for cancer. So I lost my mom to COVID last year. Towards the beginning of COVID, it took my mom.
I'm so sorry.
Just like, thank you for saying that. And there's so many of us have been hurt or been affected economically, or losing somebody, or sickness, and there's so much fear that's been on the street. So, I'm still mourning my mom. That's part of life. That is what defines our life. We're not supposed to be here forever, and every day is a blessing and a gift. But I tried to channel that energy, just like I did with my dad, to something positive. And so I turned around, and I had this on the shelf because I was raising money for charity, but I wasn't a charity or foundation. So I said, it's going to be different charities. So you can't just pick a charity, because then you're pigeonholed to one charity. So I helped found a foundation called Let Me Help Inc., letmehelpinc.org. And I took it off the shelf. I said, let me finish the paperwork for this. And I started that. A foundation could raise money for multiple charities, and it could change from one to one, event to event, or multiple at one time. And I used that as a vehicle. And the foundation isn't owned by anybody. I just did the paperwork and I did, cut some checks, whatever I had to do. And I brought these beautiful people around me to be on the board. And now it's growing by leaps and bounds and for a charitable purpose. And we just did a concert, a virtual concert because of COVID back in November of last year. And because of my A team that I had around me, people that we know, Eileen Shapiro, Jimmy Starr, my mentor, John Valesco, people like that, beautiful people. Andrew Cole, another talented guy, an artist in his own right, he helped co-produce it. It was a 6-hour virtual show. Andrew did about an hour of it, and we put together artists, singers, and performers from all around the world that volunteered their time or allowed footage to be shown or did shout outs to the cause Let Me Help SohoJohnny, I was so humbled. Some of the lists there, just to give you an idea, everyone from Patrick Stewart, Ozzy Osbourne, and Sharon Osbourne, Cedric the Entertainer, Fred Schneider, B-52s, John Lodge, Moody Blues, Rick Wakeman, and the list goes on, and all different types of, genres of music, Leon Robertson, Kim Sledge, and the list goes on and on. It's too numerous to mention all the people that were involved in that. And we raised money for, as I said, 3 different causes, not just one charity. And it was a trip. We raised money for anti-bullying, which is Andrew Cole's project, hashtag I Am No Joke. We raised money for, and also in conjunction with Creative Visions Foundation, another champion, Kathy Eldon. I put a shout out to her back in LA. She's beautiful. Prostate Cancer, and COVID. I think it's Meals on Wheels not far from where I live in Westchester County in Yonkers, Department of Aging or something like that, to get food to people that don't have the capabilities or just shopping or sick or whatever the case may be. So that was a wonderful experience. And we're doing more and more of that as we go. Of course, there's an area for business. We still have to pay the bills, everybody. And we make light of nobody else's, tough times that they're going through. And I'm not some billionaire, okay? I want to portray that. And what I'm saying is not so much about me, it's just about us. It's about community. And it's a big part of what I help create with SohoJohnny, SohoJohnny.com and letmehelpinc.org. And we're always encouraging people to contact us through those 2 domains. Of course, we're on social media and everything for people to reach us, whether it be for charity or whether it be for artistry, or we're involved. We help produce certain movies that are coming out now as well. And it's been, and we're opening up a venue, bricks and mortar venue. We have our Soho locations in Manhattan, but we've got a few exciting announcements, a radio station, things that are coming out now. So, and the wheel keeps spinning, okay, as we go forward here with so many different things. I'm trying to see here and remember all these things, but, it's a lot and it's daunting. The breadth of love is spoken in the language of musical expression. And that's been the common denominator for me, owing my mom, who used to play Tom Jones in 1960s in the house. And I used to, What's New Pussycat, when I was a kid, I used to play that. How many of us that are listening right now, if you're listeners, have loved a song when you're a kid and you'll play it over and over and drive your family crazy just doing it because you love it, because you're a kid, and that was me. So thanks, Mom. She was getting involved in entertainment. Back in those days, it was harder, especially for a woman, to advance her career. But, she was, performed on stage and everything, and she tried to get as far as she'd like, but she always had that seed of dancing and entertainment, and that's part of where I got that from.
Sounds like an amazing lady.
Thank you. And I will say this, during these times, social distancing does not mean social isolation. It actually means the opposite. And I want to give a shout out to you, Katie, for what you're doing. just the virtue of just having this show is kind of leaving the light on there. And shout out to all your Swedish listeners on that other side of the world, and much love here from the SohoJohnny camp.
Thank you. When it's not COVID times, and it's what is the event like?
It's a lot of work. Okay, I'm not making, don't make light of it. There's a lot
Oh
of,
no.
I, I'm a A type personality, so you kind of want everything going perfect. But I kind of make, when I do events, the artists, I try to make them feel at home. It says we're here a team to try to put that, our A performance out there and treat them as family, not just, it's not just business. That's my approach. Especially when the charity involves, it just lightens everything up and people go into much better spirits. I mean, I'd like to say, and so I'm told, that anybody that participated in our events, I mean, it was like a wholesome, good time experience. It wasn't just work. And when you put these things together, things could go wrong in the last minute. You're on a time track and everything. The world has changed. Streamings are going. We're getting involved with a lot of technology because we have to, and the streaming is always going to be part of our shows now, regardless. It was going that direction anyhow, but now it's a quantum jump because of what happened with COVID. So we're always going to have streaming as part of the performance, as an interactivity with the audience, and a lot of merchandise, a lot of fun stuff. So stay tuned for what we're doing. We have a marketing mix where we really a proprietary thing that we could really help artists advance their career, publicity in many different ways, different than Rary the Most. I'm not trying to, embellish it so much, but I think it's important to get the word out there. And we're very wholehearted in what we do. We're not looking to sign up artists all over the place. Okay, as a matter of fact, we turn down a lot more than we would accept because we never want to under promise, under deliver and over promise. Right?
Yeah.
We're very realistic. We can do, and we know what we could do, but we have to allocate as much time to do for each artist and really give them the time to do what we have to do. But it's all about technology today.
So I imagine that Scott Page has helped you out quite a bit with the technology aspect.
Scott's a tech guy. He's a tech genius, and he's a good friend of mine. I helped collaborate with him with a show that he did. Of course, one of his alma maters is Pink Floyd, and so talented playing the horn for the Watts Conservatory to raise money for children's education for music there in LA. And that was a great cause, and I attended it and I supported it, and that was a lot of fun. He did a show called Dark Side of the NAM because it was during the NAM concert, the NAM Convention Conference Center for the industry, the music.
My one of my twins is bugging me right now. Do you want to say hi?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Okay.
What's your name?
Eleanor.
Hi,
Eleanor.
how are you? Eleanor, how are you, Eleanor? I'm SohoJohnny. Much love.
You just said it. His name is SohoJohnny. But I really, really need you to go because his time is precious. And I will talk to you later.
Just let me say, it's not so much my time is precious. That time is precious.
Yeah, I have 2 4-year-olds. Ah.
Oh, it's I know having kids and everything, but God bless their blessings. And
They are. They're amazing. And life is certainly not boring with them.
Oh, we're talking about Scott there and what he's doing, and we're collaborating on some really interesting things now. And Scott has got great things going, and besides Scott, other resources that we're working with too. But at the end of the day, we have a group that's really, as they say, really coming from wholehearted. And I try to surround myself with people that are that way because things just go a lot easier when people have a moral compass and are here to achieve a goal and, the sense of fairness with everything that you do. There's the business and then there's your moral compass and you try to keep them aligned. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a big part. I mean, I just can't help myself. It's a part of who I am and that philanthropy and just getting it out there and everything that I've been talking about. And one of the most imminent things that's just about to be filmed now, which is pretty exciting, is Soho at Night is going to be my talk show that I'm launching that we're going to start filming soon, of course, in Soho, and someone probably going to go from loft to loft and on different locations. We'll have celebrities and guests and some exciting surprises that's going to be on some of the major platforms soon, and probably cable TV and everything. So we'll see where that goes. So listen, it's a lot. I mean, I'm talking, again, this is really not about me. I'm just sharing my journey with you. And I think what helped motivate me to go to the place that I am right now. And I'm very, very thankful in everything that's happened to me as well. And we're trudging along. And again, kudos to you for having the show, because we just need more of it. We just need people to get. If everybody could just wake up tomorrow that's listening to the show and just wake up with attitude, I know there's people less fortunate than me. I know there's other people. I know I'm going through hard stuff, but at least thing I could do is it's just very simple, because we're all role models to each other. It doesn't matter if you don't have much at all. If you walk out into the street and you speak to somebody, you're making a small impression on that person. An elderly lady sitting down in the park bench, put a smile on her face, crack a joke, put her in better spirits. If we all do that, a little ripple each, we can make a tidal wave of good faith and good feelings. And that's what we need right now. Not social this social distancing may be necessary because of medical reasons, but not social isolation. I put to everybody it's the opposite of what we should be doing now.
Yes.
Trying to do my part with SohoJohnny.com, and the entertainment platform has been going leaps and bounds. And I welcome anybody to contact us, John at SohoJohnny.com. But we all have that within us, and I just encourage that.
Definitely. My YouTube channel is all about compassion. That when you tell your story and you're vulnerable with it, that can change the world, because somebody can think about something in a way they never thought about it before, and their hearts can be opened to care in a different way.
Exactly. That's part of the secret sauce. That's part, because we don't know someone else's purgatory. You could speak to somebody and they're smiling, this, and that, but inside maybe they're suffering emotionally, physically, or whatever is something that's going on. And that's the way life is. We do the best we can, but things are going to happen to us. And celebrities that give back and that show that mortality, that show that vulnerability and reveal that, to me, are a second form of celebrity. And we had a lot of them on our show, the Let Me Help Inc.org show back in November. I mean, talking about anti-bullying, I think there was footage from Patrick Stewart, Ozzy Osbourne, or things from substance abuse, all these different things, because listen, we're all going through life, we're all figuring it out, right? And, we try to imprint upon others a better, noble way of looking at it. I mean, I know I am, okay, because I think that makes a difference. And I really believe, the true richness is not money that you have in the bank, okay? That's just a tool that we are self-made as a human race. The true currency of life is the love and the outreach that we have with each other. I don't get into religion. Of course, there's faith too that's tied to all this, but that outreach that we have, because those are the things that I believe when you look back towards the end of your life and the rest of your life that's passed, that will elevate us.
Definitely.
I really believe that. I would hope most people would believe that too.
I'm not afraid to bring a little religion into life. So I just thought of something I've never thought of before, but it makes so much sense that when this don't take the name of the Lord your God in vain, I grew up thinking that it was saying OMG, like don't say that. That's a really bad thing to say. But honestly, it hits me now that to take God's name in vain is to see somebody that is in need, like of love, of something to sustain their life, and to close your heart to them, because we're all supposed to be loved and equal, and to think like, oh, that need is not, if you can do something about it and you don't, you turn your heart away, that's taking God's name in vain.
Well, it's interesting that you should say that. First of all, before I get into that, even for the people that, that they consider themselves atheists, a big part of what we're talking about, even my mandate for humanity was the name of my comic book. This is common sense humanity ethics. Okay, it's common sense. But as far as religion, like what you're saying, try to picture it as if somebody that you do love and you're taking their name in vain and tying it into something negative or make it a joke or just whatever. And even if it's just a colloquialism, because it's part of how people say, oh my, this or this, and you're just saying things and saying that name all the time, it kind of dilutes the importance of that person's name that you care about. So, and we're living in a society now that has, you know, it's hard to define, but just that's so I hate to talk about a moral compass, but it's kind of resetting kind of the priorities of life. And I think what's happening is a lot of the people coming up that they would eventually agree with this, but they have to experience more things in life in order to get to the conclusion. As I started out this interview with you, as I talked about, as you get older in life, you kind of reinvent and rediscover and understand how you were, what was really going on with you. When I was a kid, I understand myself better now. I mean, I look at pictures when my mom died. I came across a bunch of old pictures that she had, and I see a picture of myself posing like an entertainer, and I'm making people laugh. I think it was probably my Holy Communion or something, confirmation, and because I went to a Catholic high school, grammar school, and I'm saying, my God, that's the person because that's what I was. I had, because you thrive as an entertainer, that umbilical cord with the audience, that energy, that positive energy. Because when people feel good because of something that you did and those smiles come back, they reward you with that uplifting energy. You tie charity with that, and that was my trifecta. That's what started my platform. That's what started my entertainment company, SohoJohnny.com.
I love it. Yeah, I was an actor traveling around for 12 years with a theater company. It was a Christian theater company, so we were the charity. It's like, we need to get this donation from this church, from this performance, to get to the next place and to have enough gas in our tank to get there. And I do miss that feeling of connection with the audience when performing a play, when it wasn't the applause at the end, but the stunned like impact hitting people in the spirit of just like, whoa, that's an amazing feeling.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's contagious. It's addictive, but it's positive. I mean, when we use the word ego, especially in the entertainment industry, ego could come up, it could have different connotation, different interpretations, what that means. There's the negative way of looking at it, as far as egotistical, narcissistic, feeling, kind of making people feel that they're so great, almost like a little bit condescending, better than the next person. And then there's the positive part of it, because in order to make effect and to make a difference, whether you're a performer or just trying to communicate with someone else in a positive way, you have to have a certain amount of positive ego. Loving yourself, but not narcissistically. Loving yourself, accepting yourself, forgiving yourself. And when you come from that place of love, okay, not selfishness, then you're in a better position to relate to other people. You have to accept yourself and be, and then you're able, your relationships, no matter what type of relationships, more better because you're coming to a better place within yourself of peace and acceptance. And you can put someone else at ease, and that's how people really get along a lot better.
I feel like I'm getting a life coach lesson right now.
Well, it's funny. It kind of comes across that way, I know, and I don't mean it that way, but this is just I'm sharing my experience.
Yeah,
it's my lifetime experience. I am a very, and I'm told, and I know I am a very empathetic individual. I'm the type of person, if people say, John, you need to put your guard up, you need to protect yourself, people take advantage of you, okay, or business, whatever. And that's true. They're all trying to protect me. But, I cannot, when I walk into a room, if I feel I upset somebody or I did something, I'm not impervious to it. I'm empathetic. I don't want, or even if I walk by and I see somebody suffering or crying or a child or something, I feel an affinity to try to fix it, not that I'm always could do it, not that it's my place to do it, but, I feel that. I think that's been part of what made me more sensitive to a lot of things that became the person that I am. But I think also I think, there's a song, think it by Garth Brooks, where he talks about his journey and a loved one that I think he had, that passed or died or whatever. What's the name? Great song. I should look it up over here. And it just resonates to what I'm talking about. But basically, it's saying, I'd rather be this way, to have loved and have shared this experience. And for me to be more empathetic, I don't know if I'm more empathetic or other people just don't have that switch turned on as much where they just stop themselves, or I'm more empathetic. But I feel that I'd rather be this way. And sometimes you're vulnerable and you get hurt because I feel that you're able to experience the greater depth of what life has to offer. The glorious failures, the glorious victories, the loss, the hurt, the mourning. How many great things are born not so much out of the beautiful victories we have in life or the good things that happen, but some of the greatest artistry and creativity that we have as a human being is born from things that are born out of trauma, out of hurt, out of loss, and out of the most painful things. It's all around our history. Some of the greatest works of art have been drawn or created or music from things to people that experience so much hurt. You talk about different figures, okay, and other role models, like we're talking about what we're going to do to help out Camp Marcella for the blind kids. Reaching out to role models like maybe a Stevie Wonder or like other people, Andre Bocelli, that just rise above and still give beauty and create despite their handicap. That's the mystery of life, and that's the key. We all have that key within us. Okay. Part of what I believe, part of how we work with the artists, we all have that. And we turn that inside out and give it out to the world in a wholesome way. And that's part of the secret sauce that we have. But everybody can do that. There's not one person that's listening to your show right now that doesn't have that capability. And I promise you it's there. You just got to reach in inside yourself. And I'd say, love, accept yourself, and realize we're all vulnerable. Nobody's infallible. We are what we are. And we're all in the same glass house, but let's turn on the lights in that house.
Yes. I wanted to say, I really love the name of the organization, Let Me Help, because there's such a stigma attached, so that pride can get in the way of so much. Like, oh, I can't take a handout, but can't you let someone love you? Can't you let someone who has 2 sandwiches give you one of theirs? Like, break down the walls of pride and the bad kind of ego, and just say, yes, I'll let you help me. I'll
Well, we all, we're brought up into this cookie cutter conformist type world. Of course, I guess it's changing a little bit now. But we're brought up, oh, get a job, get an education. Education is always very important and always would be. I'll always encourage that. But we're cookie cutter, okay, and it's not like enough of. I mean, of course, there's the religion if you have religious education, whatever like that. But they don't. I think the school system should probably be a little bit more proactive in teaching relationship courses, how to be into a loving, good relationship, and even if it's not loving, just a friendship relationship or a relationship or different ethics of doing business. You don't see that out there, and I think that should be out there a lot more. Like you're talking about sharing a sandwich, okay? For me, it's just common sense. Why not do that? And some people, they're just caught up into this world. They haven't lived outside it or thought about it, or they can't, or they don't have a lot of money, whatever. I'm telling you, this is a heartfelt thing. This is the currency you have inside you. This is not dollars. This is no form of currency that you can touch with your hands. Okay. And this is something that will enrich everyone's life. And many people are doing it. I'm not saying that negative that it's not. But, I would just hope that the people listening to our broadcast right here, that we make an imprint upon them. And I think, again, I think you're wonderful, Katie, and what you're doing and having the show. I have to you're a champion. I mean, we all have that ability to be champions.
Thank you. I'd like to ask you one more question, if that's all right. My question is, what are you proud of?
What am I proud of? I think, pride is like we just discussed, ego. There's maybe, I guess you could say there's good pride and bad pride, but things that I feel good about is like I felt so great about that show. I feel good, yeah, of course I feel good about accomplishments I've made in business or whatever, and I made a lot of mistakes in businesses, lost with everything. Of course, you feel good about that, okay, or don't feel good, but I think the things that make me the best, makes me feel the best now, where I am in my life, truly, is the feeling of having that reciprocity of just knowing that you try to that I've tried to do good, okay, that I've tried to make a difference, and that has truly put more meaning to what we all hear in our lives. When you give is when you really receive, the phrase, but it took on again another meaning when I started getting involved with charity. So what do I feel proud about? That I feel proud, and it's hard for me to say I'm proud about myself, but I think I'm proud about you know, that I brought all these people together, and that together we're making a difference. And I will continue to feel good about that in that sense. I want to let my ego or pride get in the way of anything that I'm doing. Okay. But, and then again, I'm always looking for advisors and everyone to look, because I'm not perfect and I cannot make the right decision. I don't always make the right decisions. But, when you work together with your own kind of presidential cabinet or whatever, and have the right people around you with a moral compass and also right advisors, you make the right decisions. And part of everything I do that I feel good about is that, and it's all out there, that it will always have a piece of charity. And now I just use letmehelpinc.org as a funnel to help any type of charitable purpose. Scott Page, my buddy, he's working with it and utilizing it for another project right now as we speak, that I'm helping him out with anything I can, because it's just, listen, to me, this is just common sense, my comic book mandate for humanity, and I think, a lot of the people today, the young people, again, as they get a little bit older, they come into their own. A lot of these things will make sense for them too. Some of them have it, some of them don't realize it yet. Doesn't mean that it's bad, just that sometimes everyone has to come to their own aha moment. So if anything, I want to feel good about or proud about is I want to get people to that aha moment to discover the inner self that they have, but in a beautiful way, in a positive way, so they can connect with people in a higher level to make a difference.
That's awesome. I really feel like we're kindred spirits in that. It's so wonderful to find people that just have that same kind of passion. Thank you so much for this chance to talk. The way that I finish my conversations is I give hugs. Hugs.
Hugs to everybody. Much love. Every day is a blessing and a gift. God bless everybody, and better things are coming. A lot of exciting things happening. A lot of positivity coming. Things are getting better and better. The pandemic is getting behind us. Be safe, be cautious, but be open-hearted, because you never know what the next positive opportunity could be if you keep your mind and heart open. And portray that out. You portray out that positive energy, good things will happen. Remain vigilant, remain open, and God bless everybody. And thank you again, Katie, for having me on your show today.
Thank you.